My name is Lindsay. I'm in recovery. I live in Ashland, Ohio, and I have just about 3 years in recovery.
Very good. Lindsay, thank you so much for coming out today and speaking with us here. I know we all have busy schedules, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come and do this today.
Of course.
Yeah. Can you share a little bit about your childhood?
My childhood was happy. I had a single mother. I have an older brother, and she was always a single mom. My dad unfortunately had some substance abuse problems, as well as I didn't really know too much of them because I didn't really know him growing up. He was so far removed, and I think my mom kept it that way. She made sure that although we didn't have a lot of money, that we were happy and we were loved, and I'm really grateful that she was able to give that to me and my brother. Otherwise, I think in the same situation, maybe things would have turned out differently. So I'm always so grateful for her. She's my number one supporter in life. So I love her.
What was your first use of a substance like?
My first use was I got very, very, very sick with alcohol. And I got really, really, really sick. I've always been like a little person, so when I was a young teenager, I drank and I got really sick. And I don't know why at least me in my head thought that's something I want to do again, but I did. I had some older friends that were much older than me, so my first memory of that night was they gave me this god awful fake, or not even a fake tattoo, like a real tattoo. Like they took a Indian ink and scribbled it on me, and I had it all the way up until I was like 25 maybe. So I covered it up, and so I always had that memory of that day.
Can you share any stories that really highlight what your addiction was like?
My addiction started young and gradually went through, I think, every single drug that there is. I just went from one to the next. And it never really got terribly uncontrollable until I started using heroin. I was introduced to it by my brother when I was 18, and I knew nothing of it. Like, I knew all the other drugs, but I had no idea what it was or even what it meant to be addicted like that to something, and he didn't tell me. Nobody told me. And unfortunately I did. I fell pretty hard into it, and I left the state for college around that time, and I went, I don't know, like 8 years maybe without using anything at all. I had a lot of time sober, and then it was straight back into it. It just happened to be, and I was unfortunate to fall really hard with my significant other, and it went from good to really good to bad, and then full on rock. It was very hard, and we had one child at the time, and I was a stay-at-home mom, so losing my child was like losing my whole life, because he was my whole life at that time. And it's still hard to remember that time. I feel like my addiction in my mind is very linked to my children, because that's what lost the most. That's what got me the most of everything, and I lost everything to my use. So I did get some years sober, and I got myself together, and then from then it's been like recovery is, up and down, but mostly good.
That's great. Did you have any legal issues as far as child protective services, indictments, anything like that?
I did. I had a children's services case with my son when he was 3 and 4, and I lost him. And unfortunately, when I lost him, I was homeless and living in my car, and I didn't have a mailbox or anything, so I didn't know what was going on at all. And while I was using, I lost him permanently to my significant other's parents, and we were not in a good way with them, so we lost him permanently at that time. And we still were allowed some parenting time, but not enough. And I found out I was pregnant around that time, and it actually took me quite a few months into my pregnancy to get clean and sober, and I did, thank goodness. I had my daughter, and I was clean, and I was in an MAT program, and that program was what saved me. To this day is what saved me. But when she was born, CPS showed up at the hospital room and took my baby right out of my hands, and I lost her, and that was the second CPS case. And I did get sober. I did. I got sober. Had her taken from me that time, I was able to get myself together, and I got her back within like 9 months, I'd say. So it was really quick.
Yeah.
And not my whole case was good, but I came out of it with sobriety and not the worst opinion of the system and what it did for people, and a foster family. The foster family that had my daughter ended up being some of the nicest, wholly good people that I've ever known. So I came out of it with that too. And then, unfortunately, in 2020, I relapsed. It was a really short relapse, but Children's Services was called again, and I lost her again. Thank goodness she went to the same foster family. I think that is what has made it this time feel more real than any other time in recovery, because I've been able to take that time that my recovery needed.
Did you end up having a job at some point, or?
I was lucky enough to be able to stay home with my kids.
That's great.
I was oh my goodness, it was a gift to be able to stay home with my kids, because I just love them. And I didn't know if I wanted to have kids before I did, and they just totally changed me. Probably because of my mom. She was just the most amazing mom. I have carried that into how I am a parent. So I didn't work, and I haven't. I think I just did some peer recovery support. I took the classes and hoping to be able to get out there and do something with that. The stigma, especially in my area, is very negative. I walked into several meetings, NA meetings, and was turned away in tears because people just did not accept it. I mean, people look you right in the face and say, you're not clean, you're not in recovery, we won't take you through the steps. And I have to say that's one of the reasons I didn't cling to a 12-step beginning, because there just wasn't enough people that I felt comfortable enough, and a lot of points wouldn't even take me through the steps being in MAT. So around here it was negative. I think that through that has made me want to advocate for it more, because I feel like it helped me so much. And I feel like that was another one of my reasons for peer support, was because I needed that person. I needed that person so bad, and I didn't have it. So it's something that should be spoken for in a good way.
Absolutely. Do you remember that moment when you started to recognize, like, ooh, I might have a problem?
Yeah. The problem, I think, for me was when I didn't care about my life, basically. I didn't care to live the next moment. I just wanted to be high and disappear. And, there's a lot of really, really dark times that came with my addiction. So I was homeless and pregnant and starving and just at the bottom. And I knew it was time. And it was like a hop, skip, and a jump. I was like, okay, I need help. And I got help almost immediately. So,
talk about your journey with MAT. What it was like for someone who has never heard it before or has no understanding of what MAT is, medical assisted treatment. What is that like?
Medical assisted treatment is the dual use of medication, which is buprenorphine, a lot of the time naloxone, is used with therapy. And I jumped into it on both sides. I jumped to it the first time for just the medication, and then I was kind of kicked off before I was ready, so I didn't even really get a chance to let it work because I hadn't been on it long enough. But the second time, a place where I went, they put you in the program, but then they did IOP, and then every other week, and you kind of progressed as your recovery progressed, and you get really close to a doctor, nurses, counselors, groups. It connects you with a lot of people in your same situation, and a lot of the times people in your same level of sobriety and recovery. So you get to meet people, and I know for me it was so nice to be around people that were going through the same thing that I was, and you didn't have to be ashamed about what you did, or everybody just wanted you to get better. And for me, my doctor was a recovering addict. He had been through it. He lost his medical license like 3 times, so he had to climb back in, and he messed up quite a few times. And that, I know, at least for me, I can't imagine that the rest of his patients are not the same as me, but he just was really easy to connect to. Altogether, I feel like it's a really well-rounded treatment, and stigma aside, it saved my life. So I think it's such a great option.
I agree. So what do you do for your recovery today?
Well, I'm still in therapy. In the last 2.5 years, I've graduated like 2 really big substance abuse programs.
What have you learned from your addiction?
I said never about some therapies and some, lots of things in my life I said I never could do or I never would do, and I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be a never. I want to be the opposite, and it's taught me that in a lot of good ways and a lot of bad ways.
What dreams do you have for your future?
Probably to have something for myself. I just got out of a 17-year long relationship, so I'm alone for the first time in 17 years. So I'm kind of experiencing some independence and just what being just me is, and just being there for my babies. I want to see them do great things, and I really just want to be there with them and enjoy. My counselor is always saying, oh, you'll be there when they're graduating high school or they're walking down the aisle, and it just sounds so good. Mm-hmm. That's what I wanted.
So how old are your kids now?
My son is 11, mm-hmm. and my daughter is 7.
I want you to tell them something. Anything.
Summer and Gavin, I love you, and I would love to always be able to tell you that I was able to do it, and I was able to come back and be with you and help you be happy, because you make me happy, and you've given me more than I could have given myself, so I love you.
Perfect. Can you share some words of inspiration for someone who might still be struggling?
Reach out to whoever is going to give you whatever time you are in your recovery. I feel like you almost know deep down what you need from someone right at the moment. Like, I know for me it was positivity, or it was, just a friend or something like that. You feel like you might need, reach out to that person or someone and be honest, because it doesn't help you or anybody else to not be honest with yourself.
Lindsay, we are so grateful that you came out to visit us and share your journey today here at Ashland University in Ashland County, Ohio. Your story is going to help end stigma, humanize addiction, spread awareness, and inspire hope in people. Thank you so much for coming out.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.